In today's video, I will be talking about how I relieve my bloating instantly. Hi guys, welcome to Moon Torch channel. I'm a mom of four, I'm 40 years old. Bloating became a problem for me in my late 20s, throughout my 30s, and into my 40s. I definitely took a long journey. I tried many different methods. I finally achieved my goal. I was so excited to see results, and it's completely sustainable in my lifestyle. What worked for me just might work for you. The first thing I started changing in my lifestyle is walking. I added a lot more steps into my walks. I used to walk 4,000, 6,000 a day, and I bumped it up to 10,000 a day, and that makes a big difference. But walking 10,000 steps a day, I didn't do it all at once. I would do them throughout my day. I would have some steps in the morning. I will have some steps in the midday, later afternoon, later down the evening. Doing regular walks throughout the day helps your digestion significantly. If you really sit for too long, and especially between the meals, and things are just sit and they don't move. But if you move out throughout the day, so whatever you had for breakfast, whatever you had for snack, whatever you had for lunch, it will digest in your stomach. You will feel a lot better. Your metabolism will be higher throughout the day if you're moving. And the way I do my steps throughout the day is, for example, I work on the computer. I need to take a phone call. That phone call, I'll pace around. I'll stand up. I will take the phone call. I will walk around. For example, in the morning, before I will get up and go to my office, I will go outside with a cup of tea and just have a 5-minute walk before getting into the car or before I step into the office. And when you start the morning with a walk, you have that mindset. I'm here. This is my goal. I started my goal in the morning. I will finish my goal later in the evening. You will want to keep that up versus if you didn't do anything in the morning and you will say, well, I'm going to take a walk at lunchtime. I'm too busy. I'll take a late afternoon. I'm still busy with work. I will go out later in the evening after sunset, and you just never went out and took that walk. If you take it in the morning, you set yourself up for a success. And if it's possible, you can time some of your walks. That is a big benefit that you can give yourself. For example, you walk after your meal, or even if you are able to walk after a couple of your meals, you have breakfast and you have a 10-minute walk or 15-minute walk. And when you have a big meal in your day, that is the best time to walk, to have 20, 30-minute walk. After your big meal, you don't want to sit down and it will sit and it will not digest well. It will cause you bloating. If you get out right after your meal, have a nice 30-minute walk, that will play a big difference. The next thing I was doing is looking into the foods that causing me bloat. Even with a good amount of exercise, in the first meal, I will feel puffier. By the end of the day, I would look 3 months pregnant. I love my veggies. I eat my veggies all the time, but the veggies that have high amount of fiber would tend to make me bloat, and I cut those veggies out. That was just sacrifice I had to do. It was hard for me to make those meals because that was half of my plate, and I just had to switch my veggies up. Something that has maybe moderate amount of fiber, or the portion size of my veggies, it had to be smaller. Drinking water helps moving things along. And I would try to drink lots of water, but I was gulping it down and I would swallow a lot of air, and that will create gas and a lot of puffiness for me. What I did was more sipping throughout the day. When I work out, then I will drink a bit more water. I will have a glass of water. And by the end of the day, I do have significant amount of hydration without even counting, did I get my 8 glasses in? I took all the dairy products out. That was the hard one for me. I loved having, for example, a waffle with yogurt and berries. Greek yogurt is fantastic for you. It has probiotics that's supposed to help your digestion, your stomach, your bloat. It was not helping for me. Any dairy product, that was a no-go. I just noticed that when I cut dairy out, it was big difference. Fuzzy drinks had to go to. There's a lot of air in them and those airy bubbles. You drink that. When you have those fuzzy carbonated drinks, it makes you bloat. It adds air into your body. You literally swallow air. I notice when I have carbonated drink, even though it's fun and that was like another alternative when I don't want to drink plain water, I will drink less water when I have fuzzy drinks because it just fills me up so quick. I naturally don't eat beans, so that I didn't have to cut out of my diet, but that is a potential cause for bloating or gas. Another thing that I was eating was keto products, and keto products have a lot of alcohol sugars in them. And I didn't realize that was causing me bloat. And the keto products, for example, ice cream. And that was a double down for me because it was keto. And for the keto, I consumed too much alcohol sugars in that, and that was dairy. And I would like to have that at night because it's low sugar, it's low calories. I can eat the pint, I'll buy the pint, I'll eat the entire pint because it's so low calories and no sugar in them, or maybe a bit low sugar. And that was causing me a lot of bloating. And I didn't realize why I'm eating such a low calorie ice cream, no sugars in them because sugar is bad. And it was still causing me a lot of bloat. And I just could, and I thought it was only dairy, but it was alcohol sugars in them as well. And then I started looking into all of my keto products, and that was one of the issues. And those products are good for when you're on a low carb diet, but that was an answer for me because I started buying a lot of those products and I would have cookies and crackers and ice cream and some other snack, but those foods were causing me bloat. Acidic foods and acidic drinks were causing me a lot of bloat as well because I have GERD and I didn't think that it would cause me bloat. I thought it just caused me burp for some reason and I didn't think about my stomach. I feel fine. I don't have that much burping. Those foods are okay, but it was causing me to bloat, and that's another food group I had to cut out. The next thing I was doing is I was looking into foods that helped me to reduce my bloating. Switched up to high water content in my vegetables, and that helped me to really flush out the excess fluids in my body. When I added berries kept my stomach light. I was Even if I have a half a cup of berries, it wouldn't cause me bloat, and I felt completely fine. Avocado is a bit tricky for me. I started eating lots more avocado because I was eating a lot less carbs. Carbs were causing me a lot of bloat, and I needed more calories, and I needed to replace my carbs with more fat. I'm not saying I was eating very low carb diet. I had plenty of carbs, but I was trying to have less gluten, but I wasn't looking into losing weight. I was looking into losing some inches around my waist because I thought I was carrying more weight. I thought I need to lose more fat around my body until I realized it was all bloat. It was bloating here. I would wear my pants and it was just squishy, and I thought I just needed to lose weight. But all it was is the excess fluid, the bloat I had from the vegetables, from the dairy, from the gluten, and that will keep me all day long bloated. And then in the morning, I will wake up, I will look great, my stomach is flat, and I always knew that I will not have throughout the day. Very quickly, my stomach will start being puffy, and I thought getting older is just part of the deal that this is how I'm going to be. What I thought through the years that I'm eating will cause me bloat, and there's no way around this until I cut out all the food that was causing me bloat. First, I would have a lot of avocado knowing it will help me to reduce my bloating, but it was opposite effect. And I just learned that I need to ease into it. I need to see how much my stomach can handle and how to eat. Then I cut back some of my avocado and I would add a quarter and see how I feel and make sure it's okay. And I would do that probably for a week. Now I would add half an avocado every time I will make a toast. I love my avocado. I want my good fats. And that's my main source of my fats is avocado. So I do want quite a bit of it. It was causing me bloating until when I reduced the amount of it and was introducing little by little and increasing the amount until my stomach was okay, I can handle this. We can get used to it. I added fermented foods in my diet. Probably not too much. It was just a little bit here and there. I'm not a big fan of fermented foods, but just a tad, knowing there's good probiotics in there. They're good for my gut. But make sure you get the real stuff, the real fermented foods that you want. They're going to be in the fridge aisle, in the cold aisle. That will be the real stuff. But if it's in the regular shelf that it's not refrigerated, it's not going to be the same. If you see a jar in just a regular shelf and it's not refrigerated, it will not have the same benefits. I switched up my breads from high fiber breads, whole grain bread. Whole grain is good for you, but I switched it to real sourdough bread. And I was happy to make that change because I love my sourdough bread. But you have to make sure when you buy sourdough bread, you look in the back, you look at the nutrition fact, you look at the ingredients, and it has basically water, salt, and flour. If there's a big list or even 10 items in there in that ingredient, it's not the real sourdough bread. You want the real one that was fermented, that went through the process. And that kind of bread is easy on your stomach. It digests easy on your stomach. I started watching how fast I eat. I will be chewing food and I will be ready to fork more food into my mouth before I even swallow the other one. You don't want to eat your food too fast. And this is when you ask for your stomach to do the job that you're supposed to do with your teeth. You have to pretty much, if you think about, chew 10, 20 times before you swallow it. You will enjoy your food better. You have the opportunity to really taste the flavors that you just cooked. You put so much time to it. And that really helps to even cut down on your calories because you will get full a lot sooner if you eat slowly. Another thing that I see people make a one big mistake on is eating with your mouth open. I always make sure I chew with my mouth closed. I chew properly. I will chew maybe 10, 20 times a day before I swallow it. And then I'll take another bite. Then I was looking into the timing of my food. After I cut out all the food, all the products, all the vegetables and fruit out of my diet, my and dairy, all my bloating went away. It felt so good to finally to wake up nice and flat stomach, to go out through the day nice flat stomach, and to go to bed with nice flat stomach and feel even better in the next morning. But that wasn't really sustainable for me to be that strict with myself. And I was looking into sustainability to have it more as a lifestyle, what I can do over and over, week by week, month by month, year by year, what I can do so it's sustainable, that I won't be bored with. I started to reintroduce the foods that I put on the side. I would start with fruit and see what was working for me, what was not, what would cause me bloat right away. But I would do it one fruit at a time. When I did that, then I was looking into vegetables. But if I had dairy, then it will mess with anything I would put in my stomach. And for that reason, I had to cut out dairy completely. Not 100%, but I think 90%. The only dairy I would have is when I would do pizza at home and probably quesadilla. Then I had a list of foods that cause me bloat, and I would look at the list and categorize by foods that I really still want in my diet, foods that I really don't care about, and foods that maybe sometimes. And foods that I really still want in my diet, I would try to have it in moderation, and I would have it in a smaller portion, and I will time it so it's more of a dinner. That way it will cost me maybe a little bit of bloat, but that it's at the dinner time, and I would try to take a walk after that as well. And like I said, water is great, but I would time my water. I would not have water during my meals, with my meals, or just right before my meals. I would have a glass of water at least half hour before my meals. If you have water with your meals, your stomach will naturally expand. You'll have some bloating. Your stomach will not digest fast and efficiently if you have water in there. Then I switched up my morning routine, and there were two things that I didn't realize that were causing me to bloat. Is the things that I talked about earlier is acid and dairy, right? When I would wake up, I would have a glass of water. That was the first thing I would do. I would have some coffee and I would take a vanilla protein shake and I would add that to my coffee to have some protein with that. But that was the problem. Coffee is acidic and on an empty stomach, it will cause you bloat. You probably won't see it right away, but it will grow throughout the day, just like you're setting yourself up for the failure. And that's the one thing that I didn't realize until now, that if I have breakfast first, I would have a meal. It's better to have coffee at that point. But now my mornings are, I will have a cup of tea, chamomile tea. And now in my mornings, I'll have tea. I would have chamomile tea, for example, something that doesn't have caffeine. And that helps your stomach to wake up, to have that first meal of the day, and I would go outside for 5-10 minute walk, and that just really set me up for the rest of the day. If at times when you eat something that causes you bloat, or you went out with your friends and you had a meal that you usually don't have and you feel bloated, you feel crappy, you had a busy day, you had a busy schedule, I usually will at that point, before going to bed, do a stomach massage. And stomach massage definitely helps me a lot. If you like this video, click on the screen to check out where I share on how to walk for weight loss, and it helps you to keep your bloat at bay.